Welcome on the YouTube channel The Retiree's Handbook. If you enjoy our content, leave a like on the video and subscribe to our channel. Now, if you're on SSI, SSDI, or you receive VA benefits, I need you to listen closely. The huge overhaul of the SNAP program that's happening in October 2025 could be the most important news you hear all year. And let me tell you, this isn't some tiny minor tweak. We're talking about a massive change that could mean hundreds of extra dollars for groceries, or it could lead to some sudden, really confusing problems. So, we're going to break down exactly what you need to know.
So, here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we're going to look at the chaos that's happening right now, why the system is under so much pressure. Then, we'll dig into why these rules had to change in the first place. After that, we'll get into the nitty-gritty, the specific new rules for SSI, SSDI, and veterans. And you'll want to stick around for the end because that's the most crucial part, a simple 3-step action plan to make sure you get every single dollar you deserve.
All right, so first up, let's talk about what's going on right now. To put it mildly, the system feels like it's in total chaos. It's creating a ton of anxiety and just plain confusion for people who are just trying to figure out how they're going to pay for groceries next month.
And this right here, this quote just gets right to the heart of it. People are getting these scary, unexpected review letters in the mail, and the first thought is pure panic. Wait, am I about to lose my benefits entirely? It's completely understandable.
But here's where things get really weird. On one hand, you have people terrified they're about to be cut off. But on the other hand, you've got people who've been denied SNAP benefits for years who are suddenly getting approved for $300 or $400 a month. This complete contradiction is the biggest sign that a massive shakeup is happening. And because it's rolling out differently from state to state, it's just causing confusion everywhere.
So that begs the question, right? How did we even get here? Well, this didn't just happen overnight. This whole overhaul was born out of a ton of pressure, building up on a system that frankly was completely broken.
If you look at this timeline, you can see how it all just boiled over. The USDA announced plans to modernize things in early 2025, but the real fire starters were a 1-2 punch. First, food prices were soaring, absolutely crushing people on fixed incomes. And second, a bombshell report dropped from the Government Accountability Office in late 2024. That report is what forced everyone to fast-track these new rules.
And that bombshell report, it all came down to one single, shocking number: 2.3 million. That is how many disabled Americans the GAO found were being wrongly denied food assistance, all because of old, outdated rules and calculations. You know, when Congress saw that number, they basically had no choice but to demand an immediate fix.
And as if that wasn't enough, at the very same time, advocacy groups were showing lawmakers this data. It showed that disabled veterans were a staggering 40% more likely to struggle with having enough food than the average American. The idea that someone could be receiving benefits for their service to the country but still not be able to afford groceries, well, that was just impossible to ignore.
Okay, so we've talked about the problem, and it was a big one. Now, let's get into the good stuff, the solution. And we're going to start with one of the biggest changes of all, and this one is for everyone receiving SSI.
For anyone on SSI, this is a really big deal, and it's actually pretty simple. Before, under the old broken rule, your entire SSI payment counted as income, which often pushed people just over the line and got them denied. Now, with the new rule, they completely ignore or exclude up to $200 of that payment. It's basically a brand new deduction that is opening the door for thousands of people who were turned away before.
Okay, so a $200 exclusion might sound a little technical, right? What does it actually mean for your wallet? Well, for a lot of people who are denied by just a little bit, this change could mean a new monthly SNAP benefit of $200, $300, or even $400. That's a huge deal.
Okay, moving on from SSI, let's talk about what's new for folks on SSDI and for our nation's veterans, because there are some game-changing new rules for them too.
If you're on SSDI and you've ever even thought about trying to go back to work, you know the fear. The old system was brutal. You could earn just a tiny bit of income and poof, your SNAP benefits could disappear overnight. The new rule changes everything. It creates a 6-month phase-out period. It finally gives you some breathing room, a real safety net, so you can test the waters with work without the fear of immediately losing your food assistance.
And for our veterans, the changes are just as huge. Just like with SSI, a part of your VA disability compensation is now excluded from the income math, It's tiered, so if you have a disability rating of 60% or higher, they'll exclude up to $300. And if you have a 100% rating, that exclusion jumps to $500.
And the impact? It's happening right now. We're already seeing reports from veteran families about these kinds of increases. You know, an extra $400, $500, or even $600 a month for groceries, that's not just helpful. For so many families, that is absolutely life-changing.
All right, this is probably the most important part of this whole conversation. We've talked about the what and the why. Now let's get to the how. This is your action plan to make sure you can actually take advantage of these new rules.
Okay, here it is. Your 3-step plan. Step 1. If you applied for SNAP in 2024 or early 2025 and were denied, you need to reapply right now. Step 2, and I cannot stress this enough, do not wait. The state is not going to call you or send you a letter. The burden is 100% on you to submit a new application. And step 3, document everything. Keep a copy of your application, write down the date you sent it, save every letter. You need a paper trail.
Now, you might be thinking, my state is so slow. This will never happen. Well, even if your state is dragging its feet, you should apply anyway. Here's why. Every single state is required by law to have these new rules fully in place by November 2025. So your application will, eventually, be looked at under this new, much better system.
So when you step back and look at the whole picture, it's pretty clear. For years, the system was just broken. It was outdated, it was unfair, and it was failing millions of people who were struggling with insane food costs. Now, are these changes perfect? No, but they are a huge, meaningful step in the right direction. This is a real chance for you to get the help that you're entitled to.
And all of this leaves us with one big question to think about. While this overhaul is providing some critical, much-needed relief, is it really enough to solve the long-term problem of food insecurity for Americans who are living on fixed incomes? That's something we all need to keep thinking about. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and leave a like.